to some fruition. Some open meeting to, I was zoning chairman, been working on this, for a good while. Yeah, yeah. Introduce yourself, please.
Yes, I'm Josh O'Quinn. I'm Chairman of Planning and Zoning. It's on. It's gonna get loud in it. Okay. All right. All right. So do y'all want me to give a brief of what's going on?
Give a
Is that
brief.
how y'all want me to do it?
Yeah, give a
Okay.
brief, please.
So there's a few changes that have been made in it. We now classify subdivisions into basically three classifications. You're gonna have simple subdivisions, all other subdivisions will fit in, and then you'll have family partition. Simple subdivisions will basically go anything that's off of a roadway, with your 100 foot of frontage. You'll be able to, up to 5 lots, you'll be able to go in and basically simple division on those. Won't require as much of the, you're not gonna end up with the, construction drawings and those types of things on that. When you move to all other subdivisions, will, from 1 lot to beyond, anything that requires, not 1 lot, 2 lots to beyond, anything that requires a roadway in it, we'll have to go through the engineering, the impact letters, and, the hearings as far as that goes. When, in all other subdivisions, brought up in our meeting, when we passed it through, was that people wanted to be able to do, 5 lots on a gravel private drive. That was added back in. So, at this point, you could do 5 lots on a gravel private drive. It still requires all the engineering and the hearings and everything as far as that goes. Once you hit 6, you would have to go to an asphalt road, and the way it's set up right now. Family partition, nothing particularly is changing under family partition right now. Pretty much the same as it's been set along. There has been the discussion of the 2-acre lot size. We've heard some kickback and feedback different ways, very much up for discussion. Y'all can make those changes here while we're having this meeting right now. That's pretty much the gist. There's some phrasing, there's some stuff that doesn't come to us that was phrased to come to y'all. There's a few things like that that was changed in there. Other than that, I think that's pretty much the gist of what's happening. Anybody have any specific questions of anything?
Our original ordinance wasn't bad, we just amended to the ordinance, right?
No, the original
It wasn't
wasn't
bad at
bad.
all.
It just left some open-ended stuff and let
Right.
some stuff happen that kind of put some pressure on people that were here and people who were buying property. It let a few things happen that just didn't particularly, it was putting a lot of people in a bad spot is what it was doing and allowing it to happen. One thing on family partition, family partition now requires that ownership has been for 3 years before you can use the family partition. So that is to keep somebody from going in and saying, buying a piece of property, they got 5 kids and breaking them down between the 5 and using the family partition as a route around. Can't say that somebody couldn't eventually use the family partition as a route around, but that keeps them from being able to buy an immediate piece of
And do what
property
they need,
and use
yeah.
it as an end route. Anything
Any
that
questions for
y'all can
Mr.
think of
O'Quinn?
that-
Yeah.
I'll answer what I can.
Okay, like I said, I took the time to read it. I made a lot of notes, Mr. O'Quinn, and like I said, the only thing we have now is just, it's good, but maybe going down to the 1 acre, and if we can get them, I'm fine with everything we have here.
I talked about that
Yeah.
too. We have young people trying to move into the parish,
Absolutely.
and land is expensive. An acre costs you $25,000 an acre or more, all depends on where you're buying it. And I think it'd be a hardship on a young family trying to build a home, have to purchase 2 acres of land for $50,000 before they even build a home. And I think most people don't want 2 acre lots. They don't want to work that much ground, not young people.
So there's different ways you can handle it and talk about it. If the mindset, because the 2 acre was a suggestion from the jury to do the 2 acre
that's
thing,
true.
that came from y'all. So, but you could look at, if the mindset is that you want to keep the density less than 2 acres, you could use it as a density mark and turn around and do 2 acre density. So then, if somebody was to develop, I'm just using numbers in the air, but if somebody was to develop 10 acres, let's say that, instead of only being able, and they, doing the 5 2-acre lots, they could do 2 or 3 5s in the front, or whatever it may be, 2 5s in the back, but that wouldn't work, the numbers don't work. But you could do larger lots in the back and smaller lots in the front, if it was a density question. So, I mean, you could do 1/4-acre lots in the front and have bigger lots in the back to make up for the density difference. It's harder, just like I messed up the math right there, it's harder to deal with when you're developing smaller pieces of property, but there's all different ways to do it. Like I said, y'all can change that now to however y'all wanna go with it. I mean, if y'all want to go 1 acre lot requirement, you may even wanna do 1 acre lot being a density marker instead of 1 dwelling per acre. So if somebody comes in and no matter what you do, you couldn't put more than 100 houses on 100 acres. You know, if it was at 2 acres, you couldn't put more than 50 houses on
Right.
on 100 acres. So that's a little better math than what I did. a
We
minute
want
ago.
to control growth. We don't want to price people out there.
No, you don't wanna price people out,
No, we
and a
don't.
lot of places you go, other places, that's how it does, I mean, that's how it's done. And truly, your larger lots in the back govern the front lots, more or less, so, I mean, people police themselves, when, I mean, if for the people who are scared of what the condition is gonna be of 1/4-acre lots, the people who have 2 and 3-acre lots in the back, always watch the people in the front, they do their own work, you know?
Even though if we decide to 1 acre, they can still buy 2 acres and do what you want with it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
true.
sir.
But I don't want to be a mandate, you have to buy 2 acres of lots to put a house on.
Yes, sir.
No, that's a hardship for young people and older people also. You know, because a lot of mansions that keep up 2 acres of land.
Well, I mean, that's, as you get older, you want smaller lots of property, when you're young, without kids, nobody's
You don't want
needing to
that
throw a
much
ball
land.
in their yard, you know, so.
Another thing I read about is the 60-foot servitude. I think that'd be a good thing for the future,
Absolutely.
and will it be? I'm in favor of that also.
For sure.
There's a lot of things that broaden a few, like I said, there were a lot of good ideas and but there was not a lot of spots to put some things, you know, there's some ways to work around that we hope are cleared up
Yes,
for
sir.
a good bit right now.
Yeah, we try to simplify it all.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Quinn?
Let me ask a question about the density to make sure that we all understand it. So, me first. So if a developer wants to do a piece of property, the lots out there, if we said we were looking at 2-acre lots, it would have to kind of average out to
So if you use it as a
2.
density, yes. So what you would see was people would come in, you'd see a big developer in that case, then come in and do small lots and do a park in the middle, or green space with walking trails or something, usually of undevelopable property, but you won't have that property developed, or not undevelopable, but less favorable area, or they'll put ponds in, or they'll do items like that will take up the acreage. So, like I said, 100 acres, if you stayed at 2, you couldn't put more than 50, 100 acres, you couldn't put more than 100. You know, at one, you couldn't put more than
So
100.
by doing the dense, the 1 acre dense, you're saying that you can only do 100 per?
If you did one, right.
Okay, so making it,
I mean, and that's, I mean, I don't think hits the problem that we were in, original intent was to stop the big guys. I don't think we're ever gonna stop the big guys. That's not, we need to just have it a little more manageable.
well, I feel
We
like the
can
big
go-
guys aren't gonna come and they put 3.5 houses per acre.
Right.
They're not coming here to put a house on an acre, that's
No.
not how they
No,
make their
they're gonna
money.
put small, you know, so I mean, that would be the conversation for leaving it a 1 acre requirement instead of a density requirement too. So I mean, it really just comes in, I like a density requirement myself, I just think that's something that'll stand up a little bit better. Because, I mean, realistically, if somebody comes in and wants to build a big subdivision, they're gonna come in and ask for a variance on it, that they can put 1/4 acre and 1/8 acre lots in the front, and then, hey, we'll give you 100 acres of green space in the back with small lots, and it works for them, you know, type of construction.
Like I said, I want growth to come, but we don't want to face it plumb out, you know.
No, we're gonna have growth,
We're gonna have
and the big
growth.
guys are gonna
And
get
we
us.
can't prevent it, I don't want to prevent it, you know. Any questions, Mr. O'Quinn? If not, question from the public? Come to the mic, please. State your name.
afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Reverend George Turner from Ethel, Louisiana. I'm here to oppose this amendment. First of all, any person that has money has a right to buy as many acres as they wish.
We're not trying to prevent that, yes, sir.
Okay. But at the same time, the whole purpose of government, when it was established, was to help those that cannot help themselves. Now, these type of proposals are not designed to help the workforce people. You know, people trying to get on their feet and things of that.
That what
nature.
concerns me also, I agree.
You know, so, I'm surprised that a lot of time and energy and effort went into drafting this, but what have you done for the workforce people? You know, government supposed to be a balance, you know. People that can help themselves, they can take care of themselves. But people that cannot help themselves, you know, you have to find some kind of medium, you know. Now, in some states, I have noticed that when they present these type of proposals, they will put a condition in there that maybe 30% of the development be set aside for workforce housing. See, when you look at things from a state perspective, you may not get the true understanding of it. But when you're dealing with development, you're talking about federal regulations. And a lot of this stuff would fall up under discrimination because you cannot discriminate in terms of selling land and things of that, not these days, you know. But anyway, the rest of the proposal looks pretty good, but there should be something set aside for the workforce people. I'm talking about veterans, elderly people, people got pretty, you know, the police department, you know, the fire department, nurses, and things like that, you know. You have to have an entry level, and also you cannot have a community saying, oh, we only want these kind of people here. Those days are over with, you know. So anyway,
I'm not sure that that's what this amendment says, is we only want a certain kind of people in there.
I think that's your understanding, okay? When you look at it from a federal perspective, you cannot redline, you cannot build a community where a certain income type of people can.
That's not what this says.
I'm not gonna.
Not in a direct way.
Not right.
Not in a
right,
direct way, but indirect, you got a lot of people can't afford 2-acre lot.
Right.
Lot of young people just getting started. You got
They don't
veterans.
have to build a subdivision, you buy a subdivision.
I know, I'm saying, if you buy a subdivision, but we put these stipulations in our ordinance, it can really discriminate against some people can't afford it.
And also, when I use the word discrimination, I'm not talking about color.
Color, no.
We're talking
Talking
about
income,
financial.
talking income.
Yeah, income, you know?
Income.
So the federal government is saying, hey, you know, we're doing all this here for your state. We want some fairness in terms of how you serve all the people in your parish. That's all I'm saying. You know, but anyway, that's my concern.
Yes, sir. That's why we have the public hearing, for people to voice their concerns. That's the purpose of this public hearing. I've been fighting this ordinance for almost 10 years now, and we close to fruition on it. I think it's a pretty good ordinance, except for a few tweaks. We have a couple of surveyors here, been getting the devil for years. One of them, Mr. Moody. I hope you have read the ordinance and what's your feel on it. Yes, sir, it's a public hearing, I want your comment.
When it started, I was gonna do it before, whenever. Everybody's got to understand, an ordinance is like, it's a document.
Exactly.
It's like,
Mhm.
if you got a will, if you still living, you change that sucker 50 times if you want to.
Gotta have a
This
starting point.
ordinance, if you can get the votes, it can be changed.
Oh, yes.
But the main thing, I mean, there's issues, but the main thing is that we've been dealing with this ever since.
For
I've
what?
been coming.
Yes, I have.
And before, so we just need to get somewhere and then we can work on changing.
It's a work in progress, I realize that.
And let's please, I would say, please, let's make an effort to come together, make this happen. And then the concerns of Mr. Turner, I understand what he's saying, 100%, but the problem, it's not a problem, it's if a person has 100 acres or he has 500 acres and he wants to develop it and
it's over
it's
with.
$60,000.
Maybe a hundred thousand in some places.
So if somebody wants to develop that, I don't know if you can make them create another spot to do what he's talking about. That's the problem. That's the situation that's got to be worked out.
It got to be. I was a work in progress. Mr. Moody, come to the mic, please. State your name.
Jeff Moody, I'm a local surveyor, and I'm glad y'all are trying to do something. I don't have I appreciate what y'all are trying to do here. I would echo some of the comments, and I've told a bunch of you jurors that you just have to always keep in mind the different economic levels across the parish.
That's my
So when
concern.
you're trying to pick a minimum lot size, there's no right answer to that, but you don't want to be just yanking numbers out of the air either. I'll just point out right now, the minimum lot size is a little over a quarter of an acre, 100 foot by 125. So going to 2 acres, you're going from that minimum lot size to 8 times greater. I mean, I don't know if that's what it should be. I don't know if it should be an acre, acre and a half, or 2 acres. I'm just echoing what Mr. Turner said. The private servitude rows, and I didn't see it in here. And of course, it can be added. Josh was talking about if you can do 5 tracks off
Oh,
the private
gravel road.
servitude.
Yeah.
Whatever the number is, that's fine. I just didn't see it in here where it defined that. And he said if it's over 5 lots,
Asphalt
then you
road.
have to have asphalt road. And that's fine too, if that's what you want to do. I just didn't see it in here. So you need to clean it up. And I was telling Mr. Oliver before this meeting, I don't care how much brain thought you put in this, as soon as we try to implement it, and it's only the surveyors in this room can implement any of this stuff. It's got to come through us. So we have to understand it. I mean, everyone should understand it, but if the surveyor can't understand it, we've got a problem. So as problems come up and we're trying to implement these things and it comes back to y'all, the jury, don't pass this and think, oh, we're good for 20 more years.
No, no.
Because with the development that's coming up here and just everything, you're gonna have to tweak this thing consistently as you see problems. And don't be afraid to address those problems and fix it, put clarity to the words and whatnot. So I'm just pointing that out to
That's
you
why I
too.
stated it's a work in progress. It's a living document. It's gonna change. You realize that.
So I mean, it's great to finally get some construction standards on a private road. Just needs to be clear in here just how many you can do off that private road, and if it does, has to be an asphalt road.
Yeah, I thought it was in.
It's in there.
Okay, well, if it's in here,
It's
that's
in there.
fine. If it's in there, that's fine. I'm just, anything else, might have to clean up. The family petition thing,
Yeah.
got no problem with that. Whatever, I mean, y'all are the governing authority, whatever y'all think or however you need to do it. When I read through it, I saw several things that I kind of had trouble understanding what that particular paragraph was trying to say. Some kind of contradicted each other, but again, that's some of those things that if you pass it, that's fine. Might have to come back and
And
tweak
tweak
some of
it,
this
yeah.
stuff and clean it up. My main thing with the family petition, it starts off saying that the family petition is a variance. When I read that, my red flag goes up because whether you're talking about engineering specs or ordinances or whatnot, you should avoid having to ask for a variance. You want to have as few of those as possible. But if you're saying right off the top that a family petition is a variance, unless I'm misunderstanding that first sentence of it, that means that every family petition is a variance. Well, that's poorly written to me. You have an ordinance that is telling you right off the get-go, your ordinance, you have to ask for variance for this ordinance to apply. There's got to be a better way to write this up, so I'm just bringing that to y'all's attention too. Don't have a problem on whatever y'all want to do, or even once you get past that, what you want to do. But right before that, in section 9, when it tells you what a variance is, it says that a variance shall require concurrence of the commission, the parish sanitarian, the parish engineer, and a 2/3 majority of the jury. So every time someone comes up here and wants to do something with their family property, if I'm reading this or understand it right, that's a variance. You gotta go through asking or proving it's a hardship, and then you gotta go through and get the approval of everything I just read to what meets the requirements of a variance. That just seems, again, I don't have a problem with what's in there, that just seems poorly done that if it has to be a variance. Just something for y'all to look at and consider. And I'm not gonna take a whole lot of y'all's other time, but just other questions I had on fees, and, you know, if it's 5 lots or less, I wasn't clear on what the fees is. Right now, it's $75 for 4 lots or less. I understand if you get into a bona fide subdivision, which according to this is gonna be 6 lots or more, they got a fee schedule of $400 plus $15 a lot, and that's fine too. Whatever y'all wanna do, just, again, I may be missing this too, just if it's a simple subdivision, is it gonna be 75, you know, it's gotta be something different than $400, I would think. So, I mean, I saw several things in there like that. Overall, I applaud y'all for y'all finally trying to make some decisions here and change some of this stuff. And in my book, the main thing was to finally have a road standard for private servitude roads, because as I've told y'all in the past, it's just 2 lines on a piece of paper and it could be a goat trail.
Exactly.
So if you have to build something 20-foot wide and 3-foot aggregate, that's gotta be approved, well, then your fire folks, your emergency people, they can get down there and not think they're gonna get stuck and whatnot. So anyhow, that's my main comments about it.
That's my concern is also public safety. Exactly. Anyone else? Time to voice your opinion, because we're gonna vote on it at the regular meeting. Like I said, besides those few questions, I think it's a pretty good start. It's a starting point. They've been working for what, at least 10 years, I know, since we tried to get this ordinance in place. Any more questions from the audience? Questions from the jury? Like I stated a few months ago, when everybody read this, they get a clear understanding of what we're about to do.
Mr. Lewis, I have a few things that I wanted to mention.
Please do.
It might be the minority of the group. I like the idea that Mr. O'Quinn brought up about the density. I think that allows us some of the leeway that we might be looking for the smaller lots in combination with the larger ones. So I think that's worth pursuing. And then my only other concern would be the access that he mentioned, still being allowed to be aggregate as opposed to a hard surface. I just get concerned from a long-term, how durable is that gonna be? And the maintenance, you know, a lot of times there's some discussions about maintenance or who's gonna take care of it or what. I think that would remedy some of that and make sure that those first responders can get in there and service those houses.
I'm in total agreement.
So, just my thought on that.
Just to piggyback on this, because I did read something, Mr. O'Quinn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is if it's a gravel road is private, then the owner would be responsible for upkeeping that particular road. Is that correct?
Exactly.
That's right.
So
That's
it's
right.
already, it's in here, it's just, if this is a private drive with a, rock road or whatever, that's right in that.
Yeah, and the size requirement.
That's a difference.
The size requirement is a big thing.
It'll still, once it
Yeah.
goes into that subdivision bracket, which is where those 5 lots or less are, still has to be engineered, still has to be inspected, it has to be treated like a, anything with a roadway in it will have to be treated, we'll have to deal with the runoff, do everything else with it. So,
Like
just
Mr.
like a normal
Like Mr.
subdivision.
Moody said, could be a goat trail if we don't put this in place.
That's what we kinda have
We got a
going on
lot of
some places.
Yeah, got a lot of goats passing out instead of getting, they're not accessible.
Goats might have done a little better in some of them, but.
Exactly.
Yes, and I guess that was just my point to say, wonderful standard. I might just like to see more, you know? And that, I know is a different price point, but I think for longevity, it would service those
That's a
houses
good
well.
thing. We can change it if we need to.
So live in document, we could change it.
That's right.
I just don't wanna price people from not coming into the pen. I wanna price people out.
Have a start.
And that's, I do think you're making a good adjustment, backing off the 2-acre lot sizes, because that will, I mean, even some of your, people can put 1/8 acre and 4-acre lots in, or 1/4 acre lots in front of it, you know, and go on about it, you know, and put a couple 2s in the back and make up for the 1, if you go to 1-acre density or whatever, you know, so I mean, it's ways to do it, and you'll put a less expensive lot, although per acre it turns out being more expensive than buying the twos, cause they mark up for the 1 acre instead.
Exactly,
But
I understand what you're saying.
there's a lot of different ways to look at it, you know?
Any more questions? Time to speak now, forever hold your peace. Come to the mic, please, state your name.
John Rushan. One of the things that Kyle, when he talked about the gravel roads, the issue, and it came up in the public hearing in great detail, we have some roads that are 12-foot wide gravel parish roads, and if you're gonna
Right.
tell them they gotta put a 60-foot servitude and then a paved road off of that 12-foot gravel goat trail that they're coming off of, we were requiring a better road than they drove down to get to that subdivision. And the gravel option gave them, they still had to put the servitude in there, they still had to construct at least a 20-foot road, but it lightened up some of the requirements up to 5 lots.
Exactly.
Once you go over that, you're gonna have to do full-blown lot size.
Right.
The other thing to remember is if y'all go to 1 acre density, 12,500 feet is the minimum you can put a sewer plant on, so that is the minimum. On one, I don't care if you go to 1 acre density, there will be no quarter acre lots, because that's only, it's 43,000 divided by 4. So it's a little over 10,000 square feet, so, I mean, they have to have 12.5 for sewer, so. Well, no, that's why I got up here, because that's just something to remember. If you're gonna use a 1 acre density, there is 12.5 is still the minimum they're gonna go for low side and density, but that's a construction rule. If they're gonna go to density, then the engineer has to know what the current requirements are for DHH, because they'll change. They don't have to vet theirs through us. They could change that to 15,000 square feet tomorrow.
If we would vote on a 2 acre density, you could still have small lots. It would just make the other lots bigger. Is that correct?
If you use, say you've got developing 10 acres, or say 100 acres, it's easy
Start with
numbers.
a big number.
Okay, then you got 50 lots total. If you're gonna put a third of an acre in the front, you're gonna have to have 50 lots total. That's the most you can put, so you're not gonna load up any more. Lots in the back, either you're gonna have to have green space, a park, a lake. It's kinda like we do with R4. They're required, they can only do so many lots per acre, but it may look more crowded when you're looking at the front part of the R4 in a RV park or in a trailer park, because they got 5 acres of sewage treatment plant back there that can't have trailers on it, so it makes them smaller up front. So you can do the smaller lots to help lower income or moderate income families starting out. They don't have to have 5 acres or 2 acres to start. They could have a third of an acre up front.
And that doesn't matter whether you have 2 acre density or 1 acre density.
As long as you say density, it's the 1 acre or 2 acre, that's your minimum. In other words, all that means is the total number they can put on a 100 acre piece. 1 acre density is 100 houses on a 100 acre piece. 2 acre density is 50, and that's it. And that's all math, but it comes down to the minimum lot size is 12,500, because that's
So they
DHH's.
could put a little bitty lot there,
They can
put a
put-
big lot at the back.
That's right.
I like the 2 acre density myself.
But it could also be 1 acre density.
Yes, it can.
It's up on what's on you decide.
That's it.
Do you want a 100 acre subdivision sitting somewhere on 100 acres? I mean, 100 houses? Or do you want 50 houses sitting
No,
on
100 acres.
50 house subdivision is a big subdivision.
Yes.
And it goes to road use.
And
I mean, it goes to
understand
existing
something,
road
you
use.
gotta also consider what's connecting them and schools. And
You gotta have all of that
All that-
in and
as long as they
out.
build it up north, it's gonna drain.
It's coming
Now,
south.
if you go down to the south corner down there, it's kinda flat, so you might need a pump.
So I get it, so like you said, with the 2 acres, that because of the sewer, that you have a minimum size you can use anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you got 2 of 1 acre when it comes to.
You have to have 12.5.
That's, so,
Because somebody could have a third of an acre, they could have a 1 acre, and they could have a 5 acre if you have 2 acre density.
Or a 1 acre density, you can still have the same thing, right?
No,
No.
yeah,
Well,
it's just a total number on the,
It's
on a
just
piece
how
of
many
property.
homes.
it's just a total.
Yeah, but I can say 1 or 2 is how
In other
many
words,
homes you're gonna put.
density, 1 acre density is 100 houses on 100 acres. I don't care how you break it up, you can only have 100 houses, total acres. You got 22 acres.
so it would leave that spacious, more spacious feeling if you only put 50 houses
I
on
think
that
that's what's,
100 acres.
I think that's what's on here now.
You have a lot of green space, yeah.
Put a green space.
You have a lot of green space. Any more questions? Please.
Just thought about maybe bringing something else up to y'all's attention. Barrett, I don't know if there's any other surveyors in here, but, you know, for the last 40-something years, I mean, you're starting to see subdivisions, you know, up here, bona fide, 50 lot, 100 lot, whatever, and they're coming.
You're coming.
And I know everybody wants to see the parish stay rural, and that's why you try to do ordinances and a land use and all that, and that's good. I tried to make this point several months back, and I think it went over people's head. I wasn't trying to say I want to see this parish be 450,000 people. I was trying to make this point that this parish is geographically about the same size as East Baton Rouge Parish, which has about 450,000 people. Livingston, Ascension, they're at about 120, 150,000. The only point I'm trying to make is we're at 20,000, give or take. When are we gonna double? Your guess is as good as mine. 5 years, 10 years? I mean, we're gonna be 50,000 at some point.
Eventually it's coming.
And the green space and the density y'all are talking about obviously are for the big developments and subdivisions. But until then, the regular Joe Blow, most of the people in this room just buying and just trying to live their little lives, buying 5 acres, 100 acres, 200 acres, want to make a little bit of money. Most of the stuff we do is divide a piece into 5 lots or less, 4 lots, and with a private servitude, because they got 100 acres and you got to get up in there to get to it. So the road standard's great, you know, and that'll solve that. But that's 95% of what still has been up here is your local citizens that are already here trying to make a buck here and there and trying to live their lives. That's still the majority of what you're dealing with up here, with an eye to the future, because that tidal wave is here and it's coming. With the private servitude roads, it addresses street names under just design standards under Section 5, that you gotta, you know, name a road something. It'd be good if you can eventually get a database up here in the computer that you come up here and say, I want to call this Moody Lane. You punch it in the computer, oops, already taken, come up with something else. Obviously, East Baton Rouge Parish has a lot more money. So when you're trying to name a road, be it a public road or a private road, you got to come up with a name. You put it in the database, they say, yeah, that name's good, you can use it. Then, I don't know how you do it, but you go get a street sign made, because these folks here don't care if they're going down a private road or public road, they're just trying to find where they're going. So with these street names, you may want to add, whether it's a private servitude road or public road, you have to call it something. And you have to come up with a name, then however you're going to have to check, has that name been used? So you can put a street sign up there so they're not just zooming by and missing it or looking for the little bitty address that's got 20 addresses right there. So it serves a good purpose to be able to name these roads and put a street sign.
They have that in there when you have to name your roads.
Well, I saw roads, I didn't say private servitudes. It talked about streets, I'm talking about naming private servitude roads too. If it's in there, that's cool, I'm just saying it needs to be both. And then it does address in there, I forget exactly what it read, that the road, I think it said the map can't be signed till you come in here and try to buy a permit to build on it, you know, on a private servitude. And that's fine if y'all want to keep it like that. Again, you don't have to mirror East Baton Rouge Parish, but they give you a 3-year window. You may want to give a time frame because someone may get the map approved, and it might be, they're not in a hurry or something. It might be 2 years, might be 3 years, might be 4 years before they come in and pull a permit on that. And y'all better have good minutes in a database in a computer that you can pull up and say, hey, this was approved 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Once that window runs out in East Baton Rouge Parish, it's null and void, and you got to start the process all over again. So I mean, I'm just, again, not trying to mirror anybody else, I'm just thinking of different things that I deal with other parishes, I'm just trying to bring y'all's to attention. And you don't have to decide that tonight or to pass anything, just, these things may come back to y'all and go, oh yeah, we need to do that now, once you implement this stuff and you see how you can make it better, so.
I'd like for you to think about the 2 acre lot, the 1 acre lot. When you think on that, because we're gonna vote on this matter at our regular meeting.
Yeah, we just figure it's all the main roads, we can come up with
We'll
that.
come up later, we won't have to name the road.
Mr. Lewis, I have one more thing
Please, Mr.
while we're talking. Under section 6, and that would be subsection F, as in Frank, and then under that, it would be number 2. It's talking about maintenance bond, and it says 1 year from date of acceptance of the final plat. Once again, I might be the minority on this, but I would like to see a longer period of time for that than 1
I've been
year.
contemplating that, Mr. Senator, and I'd like to increase it 3 years, a 3-year maintenance bond.
And we can discuss that,
Later
later
on.
if you want to, but
Yeah.
1, I don't think is enough. We've had issues with some things in the past that 1 year didn't catch.
No, I agree with you, I've been contemplating 3 years. Yeah. It's up to the jury, but I think 1 year is too short a period of time. Mr. Quinn, you tell me, that's been my feel on it.
There's no problem with that, that's unborn and inside y'all.
Yeah,
That's a protection against.
that's protection for the jury.
That's right.
So can y'all put a note to change that? I mean, is that what we're saying, to change that in there, or,
Y'all go to adopt it,
do it then?
make any changes then, and
Yeah.
I brought a copy just to eat.
Okay, with the lot size, the right of way, and the security bond for 3 years. Any more questions? I kind of read this ordinance over and over again. I think it's a big improvement. It's time for the change. It's time we adopt this new ordinance with the changes that we're gonna recommend tonight. Any more questions, sir?
Still can make changes after tonight.
Yeah.
We can make changes on it.
Yeah, because the moratorium's still in place, I think we should be able to lift the moratorium after tonight. Once it's adopted. Any more questions or concerns during the public hearing? If not, I entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing, get ready for a regular meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor? Any opposed? Until 6 o'clock, fellas.
I got a little 15.